Well, another one of the talented Cubans next to box to see who will join Lomachenko in that lightweight final. This is Yasnier Toledo, ranked 3 in this World Championship competition. This very quick, very dynamic Cuban, just 22 years of age, from Kamagi. Took the 2011 National Championship to earn his spot at these championships, up against Gani Zhailauov from Kazakhstan, the more experienced boxer of the two at 26 years of age. Again, a national champion, and took the great Silkway tournament also in 2011, showing that he comes to these championships with good form and good confidence. Castle, you've been commentating on both of these lightweight boxers through the preliminary and the quarter-final rounds. Not a lot of results on the card for the Cuban, but has been holding his own with some of the big names and some of the ranked or seeded boxers in his earlier bouts.
That's right. I mean, he is ranked number 3 in the world, according to the AIBA World Rankings. He's a 2-time Cuban national champion himself, 2010 and 2011. So, by all means, and you said earlier in the afternoon, the Cubans always come correct to these world tournaments. It's almost just in their blood.
It is. They just continue to find new boxers for every major event. These are the boxers that they've got in mind, of course, for the London Olympics in 2012, less than a year away.
That's right. The London Olympics are right around the corner. It's, as you point out, less than a year away, and this is the first qualifying event. There will be continental qualifying events for each of these fellas around the world within their various regions, and they will get another chance, those that didn't get to qualify for the London Olympics in this tournament, to do so there. However, the people that we're watching right now, these guys on the screen, have already advanced. This is for bragging rights as who's the best in the world as of this week.
So there you have it. Toledo of Cuba is out of the red corner, and Zhailauov of Kazakhstan is in the blue. Veronika Zux of Hungary is the referee for this bout, and the winner of this semi-final will join Lomachenko from the Ukraine in the final.
Interestingly enough, Zhailauov lost to Lomachenko just earlier this year at the Makhar Mazet Memorial Tournament in the Ukraine by a score of 18-5. So even if he is able to get past the Cuban, he's going to have his hands full in the rematch tomorrow night.
Well, you'll certainly want to be betting against Lomachenko there, because when his confidence is high, he really is quite a sensational boxer. And I have to admit that this Cuban, again, as they always do, comes with the full set of skills, mixing up those early punches very nicely, good body blows, working with the jab, working with the combinations. The hook is very fast.
Yeah, well, what stands out even most right out of the gate, not just the long limbs and the long torso and the speed of Toledo, but also the educated jab. Look at the way he's able to use the jab to keep Zhailauov off of him. He showed it a little bit in the beginning of this round. You'll see him resort to it again, time and again, both as a rangefinder as well as to set up that big left. He is boxing in the southpaw style, as we've seen many of the boxers do. And the Kazaki, the shorter boxer, is going to need to find a way to get inside that jab, underneath, and start to rip shots, because it looks like the Cuban is already starting to pull away with a slight advantage.
It's a great start for the Cuban. He's throwing a lot of punches, not all of them hitting the target and scoring points, but certainly more than the Kazakh boxer. And covers up well the Cuban at the same time.
This is not the place that the Kazakh boxer wants to be. He does not want to stay on the outside of Toledo. He will not be, he'll just get picked off. He'll get picked off on long shots, and he won't be able to score on his own. He needs to use his feet, and he needs to use some good body work, shifting side to side. Bobbing and weaving would be the order of the day for Zhailauov.
And again, good jab. And then the left to the body. Effective, efficient work from the Cuban. Starting to frustrate Zhailauov now. And it's amazing how quickly those 3 minutes go by when you're watching two beautiful boxers like we have on our screens right now. But for me, it's a very impressive start for the Cuban. And the bell goes. Really, Zhailauov not coming with the right tactic and being unable to change his game plan during that first round. Look at the shots from the Cuban boxer in red. Covering up well, then there's the counter. And taking the Kazakh boxer by surprise, it looks like here as well, Castle.
Yeah, I don't think the Kazakh boxer realized, or if he didn't, he should have realized that these Cubans come correct. They don't mess around. They come with the fundamentals fully developed. And they come with a certain sense of smarts, ring smarts, that looks like it gets passed down from generation to generation.
It's in the blood, isn't it?
It sure is. And, you know, Zhailauov is going to need to change his game plan, as you rightly pointed out, Nick. And again, he can't box from the outside. It's as simple. They call boxing the sweet science. It's an art, but it's a science. This is the science that they refer to. It's about mathematical angles, and it's about distance and about spatial awareness. And Zhailauov is going to need to get inside. He can't box from the outside. He needs to press the action, use good footwork, and throw uppercuts and hooks, which he can only throw from short distance.
Well, you saw for yourselves the 4-point advantage for the Cuban, as was predicted. And again, Zhailauov takes a couple of nice combinations from the Cuban, right on the chin. And this is great boxing. But the Cuban, once again, accuracy and timing is sensational.
It's a piston-like jab that Toledo has. Look at the way that jab comes straight from his shoulder and right down the pipe, and he doesn't let Zhailauov get in close enough to return fire. Beautiful work by the Cuban.
Still light on the feet. And the angles that our expert has been telling us about have been clearly demonstrated by the boxer in red. He has got a long reach, though, as well, Castle. He's got a very long jab, almost deceptively long.
Yeah, and you know what? That's going to be a problem, you see, for Zhailauov, because he hasn't yet sensed the urgency to change his game plan. Whatever his corner told him in between rounds 1 and 2 doesn't seem to have sunk in. Now, don't get me wrong, this boxing we're watching here, it's much easier said than done, as you noted earlier, Nick, and it's not easy to get in on this great Cuban boxer. However, it doesn't even look like the Kazakh boxer is trying to change his game plan. This round looks much like the first.
I couldn't agree with you more. Absolutely. And I'm not sure whether the Kazakh boxer has that range. I mean, you see him dropping his hands in frustration there. He doesn't seem to know what to do, doesn't seem to have the answers. And if he drops his hands again, he'll feel those red gloves come pummeling in there, because Toledo knows exactly what he's doing. And he's going, and his rounds are going exactly as he's pre-planned, mapped it out before he's come to the ring. And you have to give all credit to the Cuban corner. They've calculated the tactic that's required, and it's working brilliantly. Again, we've got Toledo comfortably ahead in this second round, as he was in the first. Oh, again, look at that lovely jab. And the word piston-like really does sum it up.
Well, then you may like the word ramrod, because that's another thing that comes to mind when you see this Toledo just dropping the anchor. I mean, it's really, he throws it while advancing, he throws it while retreating. He throws it with his lead arm, and he sometimes switches and throws it with his rear arm. That jab, it's sometimes more effective than a rear-handed punch, because it's coming with such power. And the distance, it doesn't have to travel very far. He's using his spatial awareness perfectly.
Great skills from the Cuban. A frustrating round once again for Zhailauov. And again, there's that lovely little jab that you can't help but love to watch. And again, our card, we have Toledo comfortably ahead, extending on his advantage from the first round. And he doesn't, well, from that shot in the corner, he doesn't look to have broken sweat. No,
this Cuban is just, he's just going with, rolling through the motions at this point. I mean, he's probably had tougher sparring sessions in Cuba, and that's not to discount at all the skill set of Gani Zhailauov. But styles make fights, and in this instance, you've got the taller, faster, leaner, more fundamentally sound boxer who's using his jab as he ought to. And there it is.
Well, the graphic tells a story, doesn't it? Toledo 6-2, then 7-3. 13-5. I'm not quite sure what the answer for this Cuban is from the Kazakhstani boxer. But whatever it is, the plan of rounds 1 and 2 has not worked. And it's only now just a matter of keeping it clean, keeping out of trouble, keeping the Kazakhstani at range. And this is a comfortable victory for Toledo. And I have to say, it's quite a surprise. We expected a little bit more of a battle from Zhailauov coming into the semi-final.
Yeah, well, you know what? The Kazakhstani team is a wonderfully trained team. There's a lot of pride about boxing in Eastern Europe, especially in Kazakhstan. The Astana Arlans, they have a team in the World Series of Boxing. It shows their commitment to the sport. It shows their commitment to amateur boxing. And, you know, it's just unfortunate, like we say, in this battle of wills, in this manly art of self-defense, only one man can win. And in this case, it looks like Toledo is just going to get the better of Zhailauov tonight, unless, of course, Zhailauov could somehow change the tune here. It's not beyond the realm of a doubt. One punch could change the fight, Nick. It's not beyond the realm of reason that the Kazaki boxer can get in close enough, somehow stun the Cuban or the big punch, and completely send this whole crowd into a tizzy.
Frenzy. No, we've seen it in the prelims and the quarterfinals, some sensational knockout punches. The boxers unable to get up for the 10. But I think that the Cubans have got yet another. I'm not going to say Felix Savant on their hands here just yet, but they've got another superstar because he has boxed brilliantly. And I think this Cuban boxer in the red, Mr. Toledo, Yasnier Toledo, will make for an intriguing final against Lomachenko, because you couldn't see two distinctive or different styles if you chose to.
It's interesting you mentioned another Felix Savant, because in actuality, Felix Savant's nephew, Erzlandi Savant, is indeed here this week. He was in this tournament. He got eliminated just the day before last in the quarterfinals. However, the Savant name continues to resonate in amateur boxing and in world boxing, for that matter.
Well, the name that the Cubans will be cheering is Toledo, not Savant here. We know the great Felix Savant won over 6 World Championship golds, but this young lad has been impressing us throughout this tournament, I have to say, and he continues to do so. His toughest task to date, and he has boxed beautifully. And there's no sign of nerves, no sign of inexperience. And as our expert in the box, Carshall Chalice, has pointed out, they bring these Cubans ready to do the business, and this young lad is a prime example. These are better shots, at last, from Zhailauov, who's finally putting a few combinations together, but with only 30 seconds left on the clock, and trailing by too many points. It's good, but too late.
And I want to point out the wonderful refereeing job being done by Veronica Zooks there. She's really letting these boxers box. All too often, with the clinches and with the clock stoppages, sometimes these bouts tend to get interrupted too much. But kudos to the referee. These two boxers are really putting on a great show. The Cuban clearly getting the better, but just the same, it's been a great and entertaining match to watch.
Just a couple of seconds, there goes the bell, and Yasnier Toledo, well, he came into this competition seeded 3. A lot of people didn't understand quite why, and now we do. Fantastic performance. Zhailauov, an established amateur boxer, has been comfortably beaten by the Cuban, and Toledo will go through to the final of the lightweight division to meet Lomachenko from the Ukraine, which promises to be something very special.
Yeah, I want to add something to that. I mean, the one thing that's going to be able to slow Lomachenko down is someone with the learned jab like Toledo. And I think that that's going to be a very intriguing, perhaps one of the most intriguing matchups of the finals, is this young Toledo against Vasyl Lomachenko.
It's all going to happen here in Baku tomorrow, the finals. There is the confirmation. Great tally, look at that, 21-9. Magnificent performance from Toledo. All 3 rounds comfortably. And we look forward to this talented Cuban taking on the Olympic champion, Vasyl Lomachenko, in tomorrow's lightweight final.